I'm Reid Zeising, founder and CEO of Cherokee Legal Holdings. And today I want to share with you exciting developments at our business, Gain Servicing. At Gain Servicing, we provide revenue cycle management, financial, underwriting, risk management, settlement, collections, and business intelligence reporting services to healthcare providers who treat personal injury victims. This is a SaaS-based, AI-enhanced lien servicing platform for providers, because we believe that uninsured and underinsured patients who have suffered injuries in an accident through no fault of their own should have access to the same high-quality medical care as insured victims. This is a cost-effective financial and servicing solution for providers who see patients on lien. We've built a best-in-class technology platform with core competencies designed specifically to effectively service and manage tens of thousands of third-party liability claims simultaneously, much more effective than a provider can manage any volume of liens in-house. Our lien servicing platform has proven to deliver far superior financial returns at a substantially lower cost than in-house solutions. And this is not done through demanding higher settlement amounts. The majority of the 900 basis points on average increase in collections is due to avoiding write-offs, dropped cases, and direct to insurance attempts to settle. And there are two primary products: pure servicing and a partial advance model. In the pure servicing model, we perform all of the servicing required for tracking, negotiating, and collecting on these cases, and we're paid a simple percent of collections. We solve for operating challenges. There is no revenue cycle management company. There is no EMR system or billing company software that effectively manages letters of protection. We solve for communications challenges, as most healthcare providers at scale cannot communicate with the necessary case managers, paralegals, attorneys, patients, and, oh yes, the important third-party liability carriers. Revenue cycle management companies are used to dealing with patient collections only, and the communications with all of these parties that I mentioned is essential to successful financial outcomes. We also collect more at much lower rates of write-offs. As I said, we don't demand more from cases that don't have value. We simply keep track of these liens and the dropped cases and the direct-to-insurance attempts to settle, and usually end up netting providers more money net. 4 things: the operating challenges I mentioned, the communications challenges, but then the legislative and insurance defense challenges. And let's talk about those. Legislative challenges. In various states, we've seen attempts to ban the traditional medical funding model through paid versus incurred legislation, which in essence says you can't collect on anything more than was paid for. Last time I checked, that wasn't a business model. So what does that do in practice? That does in practice force healthcare providers to hold these liens, which forces them into the insurance defense playbook, which brings in forensic medical accounting experts and the attempt to show medical bias in opinions delivered by doctors who still have financial interests in the outcome of the case. So what is the solution? Gain is, as an independent third-party servicing platform. And let's talk about the hard costs, the operating cash flow, and the needs for medical providers to be paid. And I'd like to give you a few simple examples. For example's sake, let's assume collecting 60% of invoice. Forget about the operating expenses that medical providers incur. Forget about the fact that we collect 900 basis points more than healthcare providers. Not by demanding higher settlements, but as I mentioned, by reducing dropped cases, written off cases, and direct attempts to settle with insurance companies. In the traditional medical funding model, providers would sell those for 30% of invoice. Now you say, Well, maybe they push that higher, or these returns look high. That is not the ultimate return. The duration of collections happens over years and includes dropped cases and write-offs. Although they're minimized by gain, they exist with healthcare providers. Now go to a partial advance model. A partial advance model in which gain servicing could advance 20% of future servicing revenues to the healthcare provider, keeping a modest multiplier on that capital or the first 30% of collections, with the vast majority of the back end, 70% in this example, going to the provider. It leads to a very simple 21-9 split at the back end, netting providers 41% of invoice, significantly more than selling it in the traditional medical funding model. And now let's talk about the pure servicing economics, in which after a 15% servicing fee, provider would net 51% of invoice, avoiding operating costs, reducing risk, and staying out of the way of the insurance defense playbook. So now where does this conversation shift? It shifts to the operating cash flows of the healthcare provider. If it's a small percent of a healthcare provider's business, they should immediately elect pure servicing instead of selling it in the medical funding model. However, what could be the case? They could be used to selling this each month, and waiting for these collections to begin could have a time lag. So here is what we're trying to solve for. And oftentimes, a partial advance model in the interim can stem those cash flow needs. So in the end, both pure servicing and the partial advance model allow access to care and garner more money for healthcare providers seeing patients on Lien. Because in the end, what are we solving for? We're solving for access to care. So reduce your risk and make more money by utilizing gain servicing. That's about all we have time for in this episode. Thanks for watching. Tune in for the next installment of This is Healthcare in America. Have a great day and stay out of the hospital.